Now that my Sony MDP 555 SA that I picked up for a grand total of $10 and spent a couple of hours fixing it yesterday is back up and running, I figured I would give you a feature dump on it. So let's check it out. So I figured I would go over this MDP 555 SA that I got that, of course, is not working. I've got it in my office. What a nice piece compared to this Panasonic piece of junk that's sitting below it. But I had somebody comment about the fake wood panels on the side. Well, they're not fake wood. They're actually real wood. Okay, look at that. That's real wood. It's got I guess it's a finish on there, a photo finish or a veneer, and a lot of lacquer. But it's actually a real wood piece. You can see the wood right in the screw holes, and on the back, this is a real piece of lumber that that hooks onto the side, just like their ES line of products. Anyway, I want to go over some of the features that this machine has on it. First of all, you'll notice that it is a high density linear converter, has a digital time-based corrector and a 3-line digital comb filter. And what that means is that it will separate the luminance and chroma using a 3-line comb filter for the S-video output, which I'm not currently using, but it has. Other features it has is, if my camera will focus, it has a microphone input and echo. So if you're using this with karaoke discs, you can sing along and add some echo to your microphone and plug your microphone in right there, which is kind of neat. One thing it does have that most don't have is it has digital memory. So when I put it in pause, for example, this disc that is playing is a CLV disc. And normally on a CLV disc you do not get special effects, but this one you do. Check it out. So there's a freeze frame off of a CLV disc, and I can go frame by frame in either direction. That's forward, and that's reverse. And all the same special effects that Laserdisc players were really quite famous for if you had a CAV disc. But this one does it from both CLV and CAV, and I've got a jog shuttle, so I can go slow motion, regular speed, 2 times, I think that's 3 times or 4 times, right, and then the same as in reverse. I can go reverse as well, multiple speeds. That is something that you just don't normally get on Laserdisc in the CLV mode. Now this has it has a neat feature for CAV discs as well, which I haven't tried one, but we're going to put a CAV disc in now and see what extra bonus features this one has for CAV discs. You see what I mean here? It says CAV still mode. So I have a sneaking suspicion it can display it as a full frame or as a field. So I'll just eject my disc and load a CAV disc. As you'll see when this one ejects, it's got to stop first. You'll see that this disc that we were watching was a CLV. Somewhere on here it says CLV, but it is a CLV disc. Somewhere on here it says it. But trust me, it's a CLV disc. I can put this into my other player and it will not do slow motion or anything. You can tell by looking at the recorded surface, right? CLV. Okay, let's put a CAV disc in. So this disc has both a CAV and a CLV side. That's the CLV side. You can see there's the CAV there, right? You can see the way that the tracks are recorded, and of course this is the CAV side. So we're going to put it in, and I'll show you the difference between the CAV and the CLV on this machine, which there really shouldn't be much difference when we go into special effects. So play, and this will spin the disc up. You know that you're watching a CAV disc because the display counter over here should display frames instead of minutes and seconds. It should display the frames. Once it goes there, you see there's the frame counter. That's how you always also know a CAV disc, because everything is based on frames instead of time. So when I search, for example, when I pause, I can pause an exact frame. Now, this is where we can press the CAV still mode button, because this is a field-based recording. So we can watch it in either frame or field-based. I'll show you the difference on the screen. Most Laserdisc players, when you put a CAV disc in, pause. If it was a film-based source, you'll get good freeze frames, because unless it's the odd frame, when you've got the 3-2 pull down, if you've got an odd frame, you'll get a double frame where it's flickering. But the other 2 frames are generally clear when you're playing CAV from film source. But when you're playing CAV from video source, well, you get this. Notice the guy on the bike is, well, we've frozen him between 2 fields. That's what's called field slippage. And if I go 1 frame at a time, you will see that, he's not clear because he's moving at a good clip. But if I press that CAV frame mode button, now I'm looking at a single field instead of a full frame. So of course we're going to lose some of the resolution because we're only looking at half of a frame. We have 280 lines. So this is 240, but I can go slow-mo and he's nice and clear. And if I go back to the CAV mode, the full frame, of course now he is kind of flickering. But the background, where the image is still, we should see some more detail in that background, which we do, because we're looking at both fields. Now we're looking at a single field. We're using the frame memory and repeating the same field twice. If I turn this disc over and go to the CLV side, we'll show what that does. So now we'll play the CLV constant linear velocity, and when it spins up, you will notice that the time, instead of displaying frames, it's going to display minutes and seconds. You see? Now we're in minutes and seconds. Let me cue that disc up to the same point with the motorcycle. Now with CLV, it's always using the digital memory, and you're always only seeing a field. You're not seeing a full frame. So we don't need that still frame mode button, because using digital memory, we're only looking at 1 field. So you always get nice clear freeze frames and nice slow-mo. And this guy's going to wipe out right about now. There he goes! Try doing that on a regular Laserdisc player off of a CLV disc. Ain't happening. Love it. This player, if I were to put this disc into this Panasonic, it's going to be pale by comparison. Well, the Panasonic won't even give me freeze frames or slow-mo on the CAV disc without the remote control, whereas this one here, with the jog shuttle dial, I can dial in and got the jog and shuttle. Dial into a single frame on any type of disc. Speaking of any kind of disc, I wonder if it will give me freeze frames on this CD video. Let's try that. I haven't tried that, so let's see what happens when I put this disc in. What will it do, first of all? Well, it'll spin up. What's that display going to do on here? Is it going to show me minutes and seconds? More than likely, because it's a CLV type disc. It's going to go right to track number 5, which is the music video. And there it goes. Okay, let's see what happens when I try to freeze this. Okay, freeze. There we go. We can freeze frame and go 1 frame at a time on a CD video as well. There you go. Unless you've got digital memory, you're not doing that off of a CD video. Now I do have a Pioneer auto reverse with DVD playback capability that will also do the same. It will also freeze and slow-mo CLV discs using the remote though, because it doesn't have a jog shuttle. But I think this is probably the second nicest, certainly the nicest looking Laserdisc player that I have now with those real wood side panels this has got. But I think this is probably one of the nicest performing Laserdisc players that I now currently own. And I got it for $10. Gotta love Facebook Marketplace. Thanks for watching.